You're listening to Rebel Spirituality with me, Sam Goldfinch. Here's the truth. Wisdom doesn't follow rules. So each week we're going to explore what it means to wake up your way so you can live a more peaceful, creative and inspired life no matter your circumstances. It's time to blaze your unique path to truth. Hey Rebels, what if the feelings of peace, love, contentment, clarity, joy aren't things that we all need to strive for in our life? What if they're actually the best and most practical foundation for how to live our life? Here's the thing, right? Most of us have been taught that in order to get stuff done, we have to beat ourselves with some form of stick. We need some kind of stress in there. We need like motivation and all this kind of stuff. And like it needs to be a combination of intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation and all these different things, right? And there's all these different methods where we can like get a job done in 3 simple tricks and yada, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And most of us are kind of doing everything in our life so that we can feel these beautiful feelings. And we feel guilty when we give ourselves that walk in the park, or perhaps your thing is computer games, or perhaps you're like whatever it happens to be, right? We have these things in our life that we love, and then we think about doing them, but then we actually give ourselves the time, and then we feel guilty, and we're like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. This is a waste of time. Like this isn't going to help me out in any way at all, right? And one thing that I always used to do to myself was I'd find time to walk around the park or to go for a walk down the water or something like that. And the entire time I was doing it, I wouldn't be able to relax because I'd feel like I should be back at home. I should be working hard. And, and so I was innocently disallowing myself the experience of just feeling peace and clarity on the walk. But then I was craving it. I was so thirsty for that, right? Now, one thing that I've come to really see for myself is I'm really good at doing nothing, right? And by that, I don't necessarily mean just sitting on the sofa in my pants, just sort of staring out the window. Although if you're in a beautiful feeling, sitting and looking out the window and watching the trees sway or just kind of being with the experience of being alive is actually a really wonderful, wonderful thing. And I'm really good at that. I find myself a lot of the time, if I have an hour free or something like that, going for a walk through the park, going for a walk without music as well. Like I used to listen to a huge amount of music and I love music, but I really enjoy just kind of being out there in nature, in the world, just me, and just experiencing my natural state of peace and relaxation. And I love that. And I've noticed something very powerful, and it's this. That space is incredibly generative, right? It's incredibly generative. It's a creative, powerful force. It's the creative power behind the universe, right? It's the experience and the feeling of being, right? Which is, if we're in that experience, we'll know what to do, right? The doing comes naturally when we're residing more in being. And of course, being is always there, but we can turn up the volume on it, right? We can notice when we're using thought to take ourselves out of that experience and start to drift back towards it. And you'll be amazed what will happen. Now, one of the things I used to worry about was, well, if I'm just hanging out in a beautiful feeling all the time, and a lot of people, as they come into the inside out understanding of life, they start to think, oh, I'm not doing anything. Like I just spent the last week kind of doing the bare minimum and hanging out in a beautiful feeling. Like if this goes on for too long or whatever, I'll be homeless. I won't have anything to do. I won't have anywhere. I won't have a job and all this kind of stuff. But is that true? How long is it actually? Like if you hang out in a beautiful feeling, how long is it until you find yourself inspired by something miraculous, right? It just occurs to you. I want to do that. I want to start painting. Or I'm just going to go and do some yoga in the park. Or I'm going to ring my dad. I haven't rung him for months on end, and I feel called to ring him, right? Now, Sid used to say this thing. Chip Chipman once said to me, he said, Sid used to say this thing. He said, there's information in the feeling, Chip. And I felt how that had touched Chip, and it touched me, because there really is information in that feeling, because that feeling is a signal that you are home to you. That feeling of love, peace, contentment, joy, hope, home, whatever it is, right, is a signal that the screen is clear and you're very, very close to the truth of who you really are, or you're just swimming in the middle of it. And that is the place from where everything comes. Quite literally, at the cosmic level, everything comes from nothing, right? I've heard it described as the fertile void, right? The great nothingness, which is full of creativity. Eckhart Tolle, he says, when you fall back through the layers and you just come into this experience of being, which is pure nothingness and yet vibrantly alive, you've found yourself in source at that point. And it is the secret source. And who knew, right? Who knew that hanging out in beautiful feelings could help you create a more and more beautiful life? Because for most of us, we've been given the message that if you just hang out in beautiful feelings, if you're just relaxed and having a good time, you're not going to get any shit done, right? Like, that's not how you get stuff done. You get into frenetic energy, you stress yourself the fuck out, and you just, that's how you get stuff done. But what if that were a steaming pile of bullshit? And look, it's not like those energies can't get things done, but at what cost, right? I used a lot of that really heavy energy. And over the course of a year, I just got to a point where I was basically completely burnt out. And my body was like, fuck you. You need to not do anything for a while. And so I stopped, right? These days, I have more creative flow. I have much less worry, much more trust in wisdom. And I hang out in beautiful feelings more and more and more. And that's where this whole project has come from. That's where all of my podcasts and coaching groups come from. And of course I can get caught up, but it's the internal alarm system, right? If I get caught up in worry or anxiety, it's the internal alarm system letting me know you're caught up, brother. And of course there are times in life where it makes total sense for us to feel sad or to feel grief, right? We're not trying to bypass authentic, real feelings, but a huge amount of the ways in which we kind of innocently create suffering, it's not necessary. It's stuff we've been taught. But life's got it. Peace and love and contentment and clarity and joy have got it, right? You've got it because that's who you are at your core. So as you go about this week, just notice, right? Where in your life are you disallowing your experience? You're disallowing yourself the experience of just feeling joy in things that you really want to do, that you love. Where are you telling yourself off for, you shouldn't be doing this because grown-up women, grown-up men, they don't do this kind of stuff. Like, where are those stories playing out? And let them go. You don't have to do that. What would life be like if you didn't do that to yourself? If you allowed yourself that walk in the park? If you allowed yourself that hour on the PlayStation or whatever, right? Like, what would life be like? What would life be like if you gave yourself that weekend with the kids? If you gave yourself that extra hour in bed on a Sunday? Like, I have no idea. These are not prescriptions, right? You have a completely built-in sense of wisdom that's going to guide you to what's right for you. And it can't come from anywhere else. It can only come from in here, right? And it's God-given and it's divine and it's flowing through you in every moment. And you will turn up the volume and hear it far more when there's less noise going on in your head. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks for being here and supporting me. Huge love to you. See you soon.